Hello everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. While we're waiting for a few more people to join in, I'll show you a few things I got in the mail. I got a little happy mail this week. Hold on one sec. I got a box from one of my customers and I thought, what could possibly be in there? Well, she had like 4 of these giant clothespins in there, and she said that she thought they would be nice for card displays or signs in my displays. And she also made me a mask, cute little ladybugs and flowers, so that was really sweet. That was from Vivi Chow, so thank you, Vivi. Let's see, where am I putting all this stuff? And then I'd gotten a thank you card from my friend Ramona. This card actually came from one of my viewers with the sweetest note. And what a sweet surprise that was. But just how much she enjoys my videos and things like that. We've never met in person, but it sure was sweet for her to do that for me. And then I got this from Susan Leggett, who is another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. She lives out west, I believe. And then I got this in the mail today, another face mask. Isn't the fabric, oops, what is that? Isn't the fabric so pretty? And it's got a pocket for a filter. But my friend Deb made this, and then her daughter Joni made the little Stampin' Up! Label for it. So I thought that was really sweet. So lots of really wonderful happy mail and lots of sweet notes. So those things always make me feel good. So let's see who else has jumped on. Joan and Wendy, Nita, Cecilia, Debbie Price, Fran, Joan Horner, Sue, hello. Hi, Kim. Hi, Julie from Toledo. Julie, I don't recognize your name. Is this your first time watching? Hi, Katie and Shanda, Patricia, all of you who have shared, thank you so much. That really helps me greatly. Okay, so first of all, yeah, Rita's on, good. These are 2 cards I made. Here's the second one. They're pretty much the same, but you'll notice the ink background looks different on each. Got a little more white showing through on that one too. But I learned this technique from Rita Holmes, who's on my team. And if you love techniques, you really need to check out Rita's Facebook group. I believe it's called Stamp Crazy with Rita. And every Tuesday, she's doing a technique. And I learned so much from watching her. So this is one I saw, it might have been her first one, I'm not sure, that she put on her Facebook Lives. And I'm so thrilled she's doing Facebook Lives because she has so much talent to share. But I thought, well, I'm going to try it and play with it, and I like it, so I'm going to show all of you how to do it now. It really is quite easy, and one of the most fun things about this technique, which Rita calls the fossil technique, because if you look really closely, as if you were looking for a real fossil, you see different shapes and things in there. But one thing I love about this technique is that every card is going to be different. You can use the same materials, the same colors, but each one will be a one of a kind. So I think that's great. Hello, Belle. Hi, Tracy. Julie, great. I'm so happy you're here for the first time. And I hope after tonight you'll come back lots and lots. So first of all, you're going to need 2, these are just page protectors. And I'm just following Rita's directions. I think she might have had hers taped together, but I left mine separated. But you do need 2 of those. Turn them this way. And then I have glossy cardstock. You do need the glossy. And I cut mine down to 5.5 by 4 1/4. So right now they're the same as standard card size, but after the technique, I'll show you how and why I cut them down. Okay, so then you also need some ink refills, and Rita suggested 2 to 3. I got a little bit crazy and tried it with 4. And so on those 2 cards I showed you, I used Lovely Lipstick, Granny Apple Green, Blushing Bride, and Gorgeous Grape. These 4 colors are the 4 colors that are in the color challenge on my Stampin' Piece VIP group this week. And you have through tomorrow to use 1 or more of those colors in some kind of card, take a photo of it and attach it to that post, and you will have the chance to win a Stampin' Up! Prize from me. So that's where I took the inspiration for this card. So, and I'll post this on that site also. But I decided with all of you that I would do a different color combination. So I started out with Bermuda Bay, Crushed Curry, and Rich Razzleberry, until I discovered my Crushed Curry probably has like 3 dots in here, 3 droplets. But I'm going to use that up, and then I'll fill in with the Daffodil Delight. So you want to have these 2 open, and I'm going to put ink on this one side. My friend Belle Harder, who's watching, is another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I'm so bummed because, and I hope you know this already, but I just opened up an email from Stampin' Up! Just a little bit ago, and I'm so bummed the Maui incentive trip for this July has been canceled because of the COVID-19. And you know, it probably was the right thing to do, but it still hurts a little bit. And Belle is one of those people that I really only get to see at Stampin' Up! Events. She's from Minnesota. So I'm super bummed about that, but I don't know. It is what it is. And like Emily said, well, then when you finally get to go, you appreciate it that much more. And that's right. There's lots of changes, and I do have my health. I have my family. So I'm trying not to complain. And that's it for my Crushed Curry. Now what I'm going to do is take that second one. Oh, Debbie, you are going to carry my bags. You're always so good about volunteering for that. They also canceled our August leadership event in New Orleans. And again, it's probably all for the best, but you know, I work really hard and I just look forward to these things. Even when they're work related, it's just always fun. So you just want to use your fingers to move that ink around. And it looks to me like I'm going to need to add some more ink because I have a lot of empty space in here that I want to fill in before I put that. Ooh, looks fun. Kind of tie-dye, doesn't it? Before I put the glossy paper on there. So I'm filling in with Daffodil Delight since I'm out of the Crushed Curry now. I'm going to add a little bit more of the Bermuda Bay. And let's see how it looks now. And remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and I'm going to say too, if you have children, if you watch children, if you have grandchildren, this is something you can do with them too. It's not nearly as messy as you look as long as you are supervising and giving them good instruction. Okay, so now, before I open that, hi Pam, hi Robin. With my 2 pieces of glossy cardstock, I want you to put the matte sides, the back sides, together. And this came 100% from Rita Holmes. I thought this was brilliant, doing the 2-for-1. So just lay it on there, close it up again, and you're just going to press down. You can see that ink has moved around a lot. And you can go over it with some kind of brayer. I only have my sponge brayer. Rita's still got her old brayer. You can use your fingers to move some ink around if you want. Oh, it's interesting because I'm not seeing a whole lot of Bermuda Bay. I'm seeing that it's mixed with the yellow and became green. I'm not seeing as much of the rich raspberry as I thought I would. Now flip it over and you can do some more moving around of the ink. You see I got a couple white spots. I'm not real concerned about there just being a few small white spots, but you just want to make sure the majority of your cardstock is covered. Sometimes you can even use your finger to push the ink to those spots. It's okay that there's some bubbles in there, because all of that is going to add to the effect, the final result. Okay, now isn't this fun? I just think this is a fun thing. Now you can wash these off if you like. I have my wastebasket right next to me, so I'm carefully going to lay them in there. And I'm going to pull these off. You'll want to have tissues or paper towels or something around. And you can get those page protectors at any office supply store, probably even your big box stores as well. And now there's a couple things you can do here. You can use a tissue to blot up some of the extra ink, some of the excess. And you can kind of see on this one that I'm getting some of the impressions of the tissues that I'm applying, which is kind of fun too. Or you can take a scrap paper. You can see that I did this earlier. And this is dry, so I'm going to use the back of it. And you could just lay it on your glossy cardstock and pull off some of the ink that way. Now, before you continue on to make a card, oh, I like the way this turned out, fun. Before you continue on to make a card, you'll want these to dry completely. And it will take a little bit longer to dry because it is on the glossy cardstock. When you see this around the edges, that's where the ink is getting in between the glossy layer and the paper layer. And that's okay. And that's why, and again, kudos to Rita for thinking of this. If you make them larger than you actually are, like I made mine the size of a true card front, I can cut them down to any size I want and get rid of some of that bleeding between the layers, okay? But some people think that's kind of cool too, because then you kind of have a little frame around it. But I need these to dry. Now, if you wanted to speed up the drying time, I usually just let my things air dry. But if you wanted to speed up the drying time, you could use your heat tool on it. Okay, so here's two I did earlier today, and you can see how the ink bled in between the layers. Okay, so I'm going to cut these down to, let me think a second, I'm going to cut these down to 4.5 by 3 1/4, and I'm going to take some of that length and width off of each side to get rid of that excess all the way around that area where it bled. Right? Did I say that correctly? 4.5, 3 1/4, yes. Okay, this one I'm going to do something a little bit different with, so we'll hang on to that. Oh, these could be fun. Now, don't you think kids would love this technique too? I sure do. I know my littles would love it. And oh gosh, I don't know when we're ever going to get to have our sleepover with Mrs. Knabe. Okay, so I pre-cut some cardstock. I decided I would kind of do the reverse for my card base from the original one. So I have 4.5 by 3 1/4. This is 1/8 inch larger. So 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. Because I just wanted oh no, I didn't. Sorry. So it is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And then on the purple, I went up just a 1/2 or 1/8 inch. So this then becomes 4 5/8 by, now that I didn't say that right, 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, because on that purple, that gorgeous grape, I wanted a narrower border than the first one. Oh, I didn't stamp. Going way ahead of myself. So on here, and I followed Rita's directions because she's awesome. And I am going to stamp Hello Friend with the Memento ink. And the black Memento ink does work very well on top of this technique. Of course, once again, you do need to give it some extra drying time. I'm going to see if my other pad is a little more moist. You will want to give the ink some extra drying time. Oh, I kind of like this up here. I don't know if you can see this, like this ridge there, and has tiny little lines in. I decided I don't want to cover that up with the sentiment. Perfect. I'm going to set that aside to dry. But basically with this, when it's all dry, I will add the gorgeous grape striped ribbon, and then I'm going to put it on a thick Whisper White card base. So there I've got the same technique. I did change up the backgrounds. And you've got two completely different cards. But I just think it's fun. You can use the same colors and get completely different looks. Okay, let me set these over here. Now with this one, I thought I would do something totally different. And instead of using this as a background, I decided that I would cut some of these out from this poppy shape. So you'll be happy to know I moved some things around in my craft room again. I know you're shocked, right? But the reason I did that is I wanted my Big Shot to sit right beside me so that when I'm working by myself, all I have to do is turn my chair and it's super convenient. But for you guys, I want you to see this, so I'm putting it on the workspace. And hopefully, let me see, waiting for the video to catch up. Yes, I'm in a place where you can see. Okay, so there's one. And I'll go ahead and cut another one since I have room to do that. Rita, I did a great job because I had a great teacher. Truly, if you love stamping techniques, please, please, please do check out Rita Holmes' Facebook group. And Rita, did I say that correctly? Stamp Crazy with Rita? Or Stamp Crazy VIP maybe? But she does Technique Tuesday every Tuesday morning on her site. Oh, I need to do one more thing. what I've done is I already put some black, basic black cardstock onto an adhesive sheet and cut out this part of that flower. So it'll fit, and it'll be like a puzzle, getting it just right here. So it'll go on like that. So let me cut one more of those. You know, that would be pretty in purple too, wouldn't it? I didn't think of that. But I'm going to go ahead with the black since I already have it out. Now, something to help you when you use this die that has these real fine lines that it cuts out, those can be very hard to get out of this die without them tearing. So I'm using a piece of parchment paper between my die and the cardstock. You can also use regular wax paper. And I don't know what I did with my other, oh, here it is. You can use regular wax paper or the parchment. Parchment paper is just what I happen to have in the pantry. I don't know why it's in the pantry. I'd probably use it more if it were down here. Let me put this right back to my nice convenient spot to my right. Oops, I'm going to use my take your pick tool. Obviously I didn't have that screwed in all the way. It's brand new, so I didn't screw it in all the way. And just gently poke these tiny holes around the outside and gently poke the inside. And it should start to lift up off the die now. All these big pieces are actually negative space. Okay. And before you go on to the next cutting, you should clean out your die of anything extra, anything that's left in there. I'm just going to gently tear off that backing. And then I'm going to match it up to the flower shape as best I can. And what do you think? Ooh. Okay, let's remove the adhesive backing from this one too. And we'll make this flower and we'll finish off with the card. Here we go. All you have to do is find one little spot where it's coming up, and then that adhesive pulls off really easily. And good news, we are going to be selling adhesive sheets again in our new annual catalog. That's something to look forward to because I just love the convenience of those. Lots of great things to come. Okay, and I just so happen to have some leaves cut out from a January event where I used those. So that was convenient to find those in that pocket with my dies. So I think what I'll do is use this again. I'm going to stamp the greeting. Well, I should decide where I'm putting. This greeting might be a little too large. I think it is. I'll have to choose a different one. But something like that, where I tuck in the leaves behind it. Yes, I definitely need, I think, something smaller. How about I pull something from Peaceful Moments. How about I use the Thank You? Or Think of You with All My Heart. I kind of like that too. Let's do that one. And the first thing I'm going to do, I will stamp it in the black, but I'm going to first stamp it on my scrap paper, which is a mess today, isn't it? But that's okay. It's the sign of lots of crafting. Yeah, that stamp's pretty straight. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to put this stamp up here in this corner. Sorry if you're going to see my gray hairs, but it'll just be a moment. There. I think I'm going to add my flowers on dimensionals, because you know, what's a card without dimensionals? Remind me also, I have something to show you afterwards. I'm going to set that right there so I don't forget. Nita, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Hi, Sharon. Rita, I'm glad you like the flower. I always love learning new techniques, and when I learn them from my team members, there's something extra sweet about that. I'll do this. And then I'm going to add some leaves behind it. Actually, a better choice of adhesive for the leaves might be the multi-purpose glue, because it gives you a chance to move things around a little bit. I know I want this coming off the white somewhat. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I want it coming off the white. Wonderful. And some of those can even go on top of the petal. Before I put the last one on, I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on my Gorgeous Grape cardstock. The Gorgeous Grape is just 1/8 inch larger. And then I'm going to put it on my card front, and then I'll be able to make sure that I have all my leaves within. Yeah, I'm sticking out just a wee bit, but I can fix that. So what do you think? Who is going to try this amazing technique? And again, if you are working with children or spending extra time with children right now, I hope that you will consider doing some of this with them as well, because I think they would just love it. Maybe I'll go like this. Notice how on this, there's a lot of leaves, 5 different leaves on this stem. So it's easy to just kind of pull some of those off. And you tuck them in wherever you need some leaves. I'm going to tuck this one in right up here. I think those are good. This is off a little bit, so I think what I'm going to do, don't laugh at me because I think this is going to work. Yes, I'm just going to pick that up, and I'm just going to move it down further on the stem. Right? Where there's a will, there's a way. What do you think? Oh, that's gorgeous. If I do say so myself. Kathy Heber says she might try it. Suze Thomas says she might for 2 anniversary cards in May. I think that would be beautiful. Sharon, you're going to have to order that glossy paper. It really is fun. Really is fun. Let me look and see what other comments I'm missing here. So I have to say thank you to Rita for inspiring me. Nancy, I love the colors too. There's just something really fun and rich and spring-like. Stunning. Thank you. Beautiful, amazing. Thanks, Candy. Sue, you're right. The Tombow Liquid Glue probably is the best for those leaves. Awesome. Okay, it looks like everybody enjoyed this. If you like what you saw here today, I ask that you invite your friends to like my business page, and then they can also come and join my Stampin' Piece VIP group. You can see these pieces are still drying. I still see some wet spots, and you can see how some of that ink bled through. I'm not sure what I'm going to make with these. Okay, and you can see some of that fun detail in there as well.